Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
I remember one time I was just young, and I don't know, I was probably 18 or 20 years old. I don't even remember how old we was, but me and a buddy of mine, we went up to New York.
Okay.
And this guy was he'd called wanting to buy some dogs, and we had three young dogs. We had one that we was partners on, and then he had one of his own, and I had one of my own. But anyway, long story short, we drove to New York to coon hunt, and I always thought of New York, is seedy, but dang gone, they more. It was. I tell you which I don't remember what part of New York we was even in. But that guy that we hunted with, he had just won the UKC World Hunt with a dog. What was that dog's name? Jukebox Willie or something maybe like that. Jukebox Joe or something, I can't remember.
Gotcha.
But anyway, when we started home, we were coming into Troy, Pennsylvania on a little 2-lane road.
Mm-hmm.
And what we'd done, we'd stayed up half the night before, come home and slept a little bit, and then drove all the way up there that day, coon hunted that night, and the guy didn't even want to buy no dogs. He didn't even take. I don't know the story, the whole story, but anyway, long story short, I told my buddy, I said, I'm going back. We're supposed to stay a week,
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, you do whatever you want to. I said, I'm going to Tennessee tomorrow. I said, don't turn my dog loose tomorrow, I said, if you want to sell him that pup, sell him that pup. But anyway, we hunted all night that night. The next morning, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, we started back this way.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, first motel you see, I said, just whip in there and we'll get us a room, we'll sleep, and then we'll jump up and take back off driving again,
Mm-hmm.
So he said, well, I'll drive, and he said, I'm in pretty good shape. He said, you go ahead and go sleep if you want to, and he said, I'll drive. Next thing I know, he was laying on her side going down
Oh, jeez.
going down. He had a concrete bridge. It's 1,000 wonders it didn't kill us. He had a Toyota pickup, had bigger tires on it,
mm-hmm.
and that was the only thing that saved us. But it broke off a piece of that concrete bridge, probably about 5 foot long, and that thing was probably about 3 foot tall. That concrete bridge was, and it was laying right in the middle of the road.
Jeez.
And we was laying in the middle of the road on the driver's side. Throwed the dog box out, throwed the dogs out. 2 of them got out and tore the door off of one side of the box. We had 2 in one side and 1 in the other side, and 2 of them got out. But anyway, we had the roadblock going right in. This was on a Monday morning, going right into Troy, Pennsylvania, and there was some kind of big factory there.
Okay.
And but there was a bunch of them workers there, and they was wanting to get to work. It's going to be late. And,
oh yeah.
And I said, if y'all help me flip this truck over, I said, I'll drive it out of the road. had one tire knocked completely off of it, and 2 of the others was cut down, and the driver's side front tire was the only tire that was up on it, and it knocked the passenger side completely off. Cut the 2 back ones down. But anyway, we flipped that thing over in the road, and I hit the switch, and it fired right up. And I tried to take off, it wouldn't go. And I guess them tires was flat on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I put it in 4-wheel drive and drove that thing out of the road and opened the road up. And everybody, the wrecker finally come and got it, and hauled it down the road.
Jeez.
And then he give us a ride, just probably a half a mile from where we wrecked, going back the opposite way we was coming. My buddy had just passed the motel. I don't know why he didn't stop. I guess he was probably already asleep,
Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like let me think here. Little over a year ago, I guess it was. It was Memorial Day, not this past Memorial Day, but the Memorial Day before. I was going to Elkins, West Virginia to the Big Game Nationals. I have some friends that
Mm-hmm.
live a half an hour north of there. So I was like planning on staying at their house. They were already down there because it was a Friday night event and a Saturday event. So I left work early. My truck wouldn't start. Had my truck loaded, had dogs loaded, wouldn't start. And so I hurried up, threw everything in my car, threw the dogs in the back, like had a little Nissan crossover SUV, small SUV.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, get everything moved over, head down the road, get, I don't know, half mile from my friend's house on a small gravel road. It's their road, the road they live on. And I met a truck with wide tires, like right in a curve. And I kind of
Mm-hmm.
got over a little bit. I went right off an embankment and rolled my car down about a 12-foot embankment into a cow pasture. Landed on my driver's side. I climbed out the passenger window broke, so I climbed out the passenger window. The guy in the truck stopped and he's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I got dogs in the back." So I hurry up, go try to fling the back door open. Of course, it's locked, so I had to go crawl back in the car to unlock the car since it was locked because I didn't have the key. And so then I get it unlocked, go open the back. Both dogs are okay. It was a whole mess.
Yeah.
And then you're dealing with how do you get home when I was 5.5 hours from home with two dogs, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And the other vehicle sitting at home tore up.
Yeah,
Your luck sounds about like mine.
that was my interesting trip last year.
Yeah. Mm.
But
Hey, you don't never know what you're going to run into.
no,
Going hunting, there'll be something happen. Seems like all the time there'll be something happen.
yep,
We used to go up to Michigan and coon hunt, and it seemed like there's something always happening when we went to Michigan. About a 10-hour drive for us, from
yeah,
here to Michigan, and it seemed like they just always get caught in traffic or something. It seemed like always right around Cincinnati that we try to hit it usually try to hit it real late at night, because
yep,
most times it seemed like there wouldn't be nothing going on, real late at night. You get through pretty good, but never did know.
Well, Eddie, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right, my name is Eddie Odell. I'm from East Tennessee here in the Smoky Mountains.
Mm-hmm. I got you on here today because you've been brought up in two of my podcasts now. Which actually, you were scheduled to come on before the last mention, but it just didn't work out. So, but like I said, you've been mentioned in two. You had a pretty well known feist.
Yeah, he's been good to me, and still, he'll be 14 years old the 10th of next month.
Oh wow!
And it's hard to believe, but I bred him to a good friend of mine, Glenn Gentry here. That he's got a real nice female, and we bred her to co-whip, and she had 9 puppies and raised 8 of them.
Nice.
And him 13-year old, to still be reproducing puppies,
Mm-hmm.
But
it's impressive.
Yeah.
But obviously, you already said that you used to run some hounds. So let's start back at the beginning with how you got into tree dogs in general.
Well, a good friend of mine that I coon hunted with, his name was Bobby Chambers. He's coon hunting, but he's kind of the one that got me into coon hunting, and they used to go, and me and him used to run around together and play ball and stuff together, and one night he said, "We're going coon hunting," and he said, "You want to go with us?" So I went with him, and so old saying goes, I was hooked, And then before you know it, I had a dog box and a dog and that, everything. But
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, I called myself coon hunting, but I wasn't coon hunting until probably 10 years later, or maybe even 15 years later than that. We'd go a lot, but back then, that was in the mid '80s, and you could hunt all week in this country then. And if you treed one coon in a week, you had a pretty good dog. But
Wow.
now, now I ain't gonna say that there's not that many hunters, and I think there is a lot of hunters. But now the game is, the coon clubs and the coon hunters has took care of the coons in this country now,
Yeah.
and uh, stock some coons,
Hmm.
and then everybody, when the hides was real expensive, everybody was killing them, and skinning them and selling the hides,
Oh,
and then all of a sudden a coon was worth more alive than he was dead.
hmm.
And I think that was kind of the turning point on the coon population in this country.
Yep.
But uh, when you could take, when you killed a coon and skin him, and he wouldn't bring but $2 or $3, people wouldn't even, they wouldn't even skin one, for that.
Yeah.
And but before that, they would bring 25 to $30 for a big coon.
Hmm.
And then people, that's we skinned every one, sold them all. We just
Oh yeah,
in high
definitely.
school, and yeah, that's pretty good little gas money for us.
Hmm.
But,
Definitely. No, if I would have been around, I probably would have been the same way. I would have knocking them all out.
oh yeah, well, in these mountains here, they wouldn't many to knock out. Like I say, we have hunted. I have hunted a week at a time. And never tree a coon.
Hmm.
But like I say, I called myself a coon hunter for a good many years, and it took me a while to really realize. I thought you could just take a hound and turn him on the creek, and he'd get after a coon.
Yeah.
But it took me several years to realize to tree a coon, you got to get where he's feeding at.
Hmm.
It took me several years to figure that out. I run into an old coon hunter, and he said, "Boy, there ain't no mice this year, are there?" And you know, to me, I just, a teenager. I didn't care nothing about no mice or no acorns or nothing. I thought you could kill a coon anytime you wanted to, or get after one.
Yep.
And and when I realized what he was talking about, acorns and grapes and pokeberries or whatever, salmons, whatever the coons was feeding on, then
Yeah.
that's when I guess that's when I made the curve and kind of started really coon hunting then, because I knew then what it took to get after one.
Yep. I'm lucky enough. I live in areas that have enough corn that we typically have food no matter what.
Right, yeah. Uh, well, that's, and like I say, these coon clubs in this country, they got coons in from all over. I can remember one year uh, they got a bunch of coons out of Florida and brought them here and turned them in these mountains, and they didn't make it no time.
Yeah.
They just died out.
Hmm.
And then they either, I can't remember. I want to think maybe they got a load of coons out of Ohio or something and brought them in this country, and and when they brought them coons in here from Ohio and up north, they were more, I guess, more suitable to this type of weather here.
Oh yeah.
And uh, you know, but now, I mean, used to, if you seen a coon laying on the road, you was probably one of the first ones to see it, because if many cars went by, somebody'd pick it up and have it skinned.
Yep.
But now it's nothing to see. Matter of fact, last night when we come in from eating supper, there was a coon here in the yard. I throwed out some scraps, and that coon was in the yard here when we come in. And but now it's nothing to see. I drive probably 10 miles to work, every day, and it's nothing to see a coon on the road run over.
Yep.
But used to,
Same up here.
yeah, used to you didn't, you never did see a coon here. But
I got a funny story about that. Pastor of my church, he's, I don't know, 60, 65, somewhere in there, I guess. I don't know exactly how old he is. And when he was in college, going to seminary, young, married, had either one kid or kid on the way, I forget exactly. He said we were living paycheck to paycheck. We were broke as all get out. He's from South Carolina, and they were living in Tennessee, I believe, at the time. He said, and this would have been, when coons were high, and he had mentioned at some point to his wife that, coon hides were worth money. Well, she found a roadkill coon and brought it home for him to skin.
yeah, I guess that was just a way of life, and for these mountain people here, if they didn't waste nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If they killed a coon or killed a possum or killed a groundhog or whatever, they'd skin it, and sell the hide and eat the meat.
Yep.
But now, this day and time, well, if you tried to feed somebody a coon or a possum or a groundhog, they'd probably have you in jail tomorrow, I guess.
I only know a few people that have ever eaten them, and only one person that eats them with any sort of regularity.
Yeah.
They eat a couple every year.
Yeah. But. Now, I never did eat a possum, but now I've eaten coons, and I've eaten bear meat, and I've eaten groundhog. There's no woman down in the country here, a friend of mine, it was his mother-in-law, and he said that if we kill a groundhog and shoot it in the head and bring it down there and clean it for us, you'd cook it. So we took out, used to here, people drive around, but now that, with so much population now, you can't hardly do it. But, used to we'd ride around, shoot groundhogs out of farmers' fields and stuff, and they wanted you to kill them now.
Yeah.
But now, you can't hardly do it now. But anyway, we took out and killed a groundhog, and we took it down there and cleaned it for her, and he called me a couple of days, and he said, he's got that groundhog fixed. So I went down there, and I was kind of, I was thinking, boy, I wonder what this is going to taste like. And, man, it looked good, and you could just take a fork and just flip the meat off the bones. I don't know how she cooked it, but, man, I'm telling you, it was good. But now that's the only groundhog I ever eat. But now I've eaten coon 2 or 3 times, and eat a lot of bear meat,
Yep.
which bear meat is about like any other wild game, in my opinion. It all depends on how you cook it,
Yep, definitely.
It's who's cooking it, I can remember the first time I ever ate bear meat. Some of them bear hunters had hunted, and we killed a bear that day, and they said, come down here at so-and-so's, garage. They're cooking some of that bear, So I went down there, and some bear hunters, they was about half loaded, and that meat, it was looked like it was black on the outside and pink on the inside. Seemed like the longer you chewed it, the bigger it got. So, buddy of mine, we got a roast, and a good friend of mine, William Ellison, he said, I'll get Granny to fix us a roast. So we got us a roast, and I told him, I said, man, I said, if I had to eat that bear meat, I said, I guess I'd just starve to death. I said, that's absolutely the worst thing. I said, I'd just soon cut the tongue out of my Red Wing boot and had it,
Yeah.
I said, it wouldn't have been much different, He said, I'll get Granny to fix us a roast, So me and him coon hunted about every night when we was in school, and so he called me one day, and he said, Granny's going to cook that roast. said, come up, before it gets dark and we'll eat and then we'll go hunting. I said, all right. So I went up there and she had fixed the bar roast, when it was made right, she
Yeah.
had fixed it right, and had sweet potatoes and regular potatoes and everything, but she knows how to cook one,
Like you said, it's all a matter of the person cooking it.
That's exactly right. You can go to a steakhouse, and if you get somebody that don't know how to cook a steak, it won't be worth a flip. And then you get somebody that knows how to cook one, it'll make a puppy dog pull a freight train, as they say.
Yep. Well, what switched you from hounds to squirrel dogs?
Well, like I say, when I quit coon hunting, I had three, in my opinion, probably three as good a hounds as there was in this country.
Okay.
And this was in probably 2009, I guess it was. And I had two grand nights, and one was a night champion. And should have been a grand night, but I hadn't even campaigned her. She was off a track, man.
All
And
walkers?
yeah, all walker dogs. Yeah, it's only I never did have nothing. It might have had a few stragglers in there, but mostly, like the walker dog, because of the, early starting,
Mm-hmm.
and good mouth and a good tree dog, and most of them, was not too bad on the eyes to look at, But anyway, I had three hounds, and I fell off of a road grader, and they wind up doing two back surgeries on me and done neck surgery on me, and I guess I'm lucky to even be walking,
Mm-hmm.
but I got screws and plates and neck and back and all that. But anyway, I sold them three hounds. I got, I said, well, there ain't no way I can, ain't no way I can keep up with these dogs now,
Mm-hmm.
So I sold them three dogs, and they brought a pretty good price. And I said, well, I'm gonna buy me a good $500 squirrel dog. And I had a little dog there that was tree squirrels and a little rat terrier. And, he was a cross, the rat terrier and Jack Russell, but he
Okay.
looked more of a rat terrier. She was actually 3/4 rat and a quarter Jack.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, she would tree a squirrel. Wouldn't no squirrel dog. She'd tree a squirrel, but I'd never even petted her on the tree at a
Mm-hmm.
squirrel, and
Yeah.
and when I sold them hounds, I thought I gotta have me some kind of dog, to hunt. And so I got in the market for a good squirrel dog. I said, man, I ought to be able to buy a good squirrel, a really, really good squirrel dog for about $500. Buddy, I got woke up right quick.
Yep.
I, I I got to talking to people and asking and here and yonder and everywhere. And somebody said, get on that Squirrel Dog Central. Said, there's all kinds of squirrel dogs on there.
Yep.
So I got on that Squirrel Dog Central, and before I knowed it, I'd bought, I don't know, 6 or 8 dogs, and I hadn't even seen a squirrel with nary one of them. So finally, I just about give up. There ain't no such thing as a good squirrel dog. So I had, like I say, I had coon hunted, and I thought, you could turn a squirrel dog loose, and he'd go in there and fall trees just like a hound,
Yeah.
and bark every breath. And the squirrel dogs just don't work that way. They're way yonder difference between a hound and a spice dog,
Yep.
And but anyway, I got lucky and bought a little female fice from a boy down in Winchester, Tennessee, by the name of Ronald Davis. And Ronald was he was a hunter, but he wasn't a dog salesman or a dog trader or nothing. He just hunted, and he had raised a litter of pups. He had this dog that he wanted to sell,
Mm-hmm.
So this was 2 days after they had done back surgery on me, and I called Terrence Bailiff and I said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And he said, "Nothing." I said, "You want to go with me to try a squirrel dog?" I said, "Supposed to be a good one." And he said, "Where you going?" I said, "Down below Chattanooga." He said, "Yeah, I'll ride with you." I said, "Well, I'll be through there and get you in the morning." I said, "I'll call you on my way, make sure you're up and everything." So I called, and told him, I said, "I'll be there in a few minutes." Rolled in there and got tires and we took off. He said, "Where we going?" I said, "We're going to Winchester, Tennessee." He said, "That's up our next to AEDC, ain't it?" I said, "Well, I don't have no idea." I didn't know where he's at. I said, "I don't have no idea." Well, anyway, we go up there. Like I say, this is 2 days after they'd done back surgery on me. But
Sounds
I
like
mean,
a
I was,
great time to go for a road trip.
well, you know, believe it or not, I was better after they done the surgery on me than I was before, which I was
Mm-hmm.
still shouldn't have been shouldn't have been beating and thrashing in the woods by no means, but
Yeah.
I thought I was, and I was, a lot better then than I was a week prior to that. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't even, I was bent over at the waist, like somebody had a 250-pound weight on tied around my neck trying to pull me over. That's the way I had to walk. But anyway, long story short, we go down there and try this little old dog, and she put on a clinic. Like I say, we'd never even, I'd never, me and Terrence had, we'd hunted maybe a lick or two. We'd never killed a squirrel to a dog since me and him had hunted. And
Okay.
she treed six singles and timbered one of them and had it when she got to the end of the one that rode out, and she followed that thing and got lucky and bought the little old female for 1,300.
There you go.
And I'd give I'd give a I'd give away yonder more than that for a truckload of her just like her right now. But
Yeah.
anyway, me and Terrence went to hunting her, and we went to killing squirrels left and right. Well, Terrence, after I bought the little female, the Ronald had a male dog there. Well, Terrence said, "What do you want for that male dog?" Or he said, "Would you sell him or something?" He said, "Yeah, I'll sell him." Terrence asked him, said, "Will he tree a squirrel?" And he said, "Yeah, he tree a squirrel." Terrence said, "What do you want for him?" And he said, "I think $800." So Terrence said, I'll take him." So Terrence was going with me to look at one and
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 end up
buys
coming.
one himself too. Yeah, comes in with one himself.
Uh, uh,
So
uh.
anyway, we go to hunting and killing squirrels, and this was in January. I believe it was either January the 6th or the January the 9th one. I can't remember exactly what day it was. But anyway, me and him hunted because I was off with back surgery, and when it was in the wintertime, and
Yeah.
Pines Farms, and he was, crops was out, and so he was free, and I was free. I was off, trying to get mended up. But
Mm-hmm.
me and him hunted from all of January and all of February, and I don't know how many squirrels we killed
Nice.
with them two little old dogs. It was about June. I can't remember if it was either in June or July of that same year after I'd bought that little female in January. Well, I come in and I had her in an above ground kennel, and I thought, well, I'm gonna put her on a chain. I had, several dog houses and chains, and I said, I'm gonna put her on a chain here behind the barn and let her get some exercise, because I hadn't been hunting or none because the season had went out,
Yep.
and I'd gone back to work too, and so I tied her out, and I come home one evening, and she was a smaller dog, probably weighed between 13 and 15 pounds.
Okay.
But now I'm telling you, a squirrel dog. As good. As good a squirrel dog as anybody has ever walked behind. But anyway, I guess a heart attack or heat stroke or whatever. But anyway, she was laying there dead
Oof.
when I come in. So back to the drawing board here. I'm
Yep.
out of a squirrel dog,
Mm-hmm.
and never and had she'd never, I'd never put her in a hunt or anything. I just didn't have her, but roughly 6 months.
Yeah.
But probably killed. I'm gonna say the month of January and the month of February. I'm gonna say we probably killed. And I mean it don't sound like a lot of squirrels, but we probably killed 150 squirrels. But
Mm-hmm.
if you kill 150 squirrels in this country, you've got a pretty good dog, you know. So
Yeah.
squirrels are not that thick here, and you know, and it's a lot of times it takes you 15, 20 minutes to get to a tree here when they tree, you know. It's pretty steep in places, but
Yes, it is.
anyway, I back on the market for a dog. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I called. Somebody told me said get a hold of Bill Barger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I called Bill Barger, and uh, he told me he didn't have anything. And I told him, I said, well, keep your eyes and ears open. If you hear of anything, let me know. So I'm down in the country working on that old road grader, and he called me, and he said Mac McLean's wanting to sell a dog uh, down in Cummings, Georgia, and we talked about the money, you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so I told Bill, I said, well, I'd be interested in him, you know. So long story short, I wound up buying Coon Whip
There you go.
from Mac McLean, and that was, you know, and I went to hunting him, me and Terrence, and Terrence had a little dog, you know, that he had bought from Ronald when I bought the Brandy female,
Mm-hmm.
and he called that dog Joker. Well, we went to hunting Joker and Cool Whip. We went to killing squirrels, and I thought, you know, I didn't realize the caliber of dog that I had at the time.
Yeah.
You know, I thought everybody had a good squirrel dog. You know, so we go to a competition hunt over here. Me and Terrence both goes, and uh, we I got beat with Terrence. I think he placed, but anyway, I got beat. But I was hunting in the champion. Mac had already made Cool Whip a champion,
Okay.
and uh, so. But anyway, I got beat by a bad call on my behalf that I didn't. You know, I didn't even. I had competition coon hunted. You know, a lot of good dogs, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have no idea on the rules of. I knew when a you know like coon hunting, if a dog trees here and another one trees, you know, 30 yards over yonder, or 50 yards or whatever, you know, you call them split trees. Well, two whip treed, and I drawed a couple of, you know, good dogs also, you know.
Yep.
Two, you know, I wasn't throwing off on the dogs, but anyway, I called two whip split trees, and it was on the side of the mountain over there, and on the, I guess you'd call it on the eastern end of the Clinch Mountains over there, what they call in this area, they call it Beach Creek.
Okay.
And and it was pretty steep. And But anyway, the other two dogs kind of treed down the hill a little bit. Cool Whip treed up the hill. Well, I told the judge, I said, them boys treed theirs, and Cool Whip went up the hill and treed. And I said, just split tree mine right up there. And he said, are you sure? And I said, yeah. I said, he's treed right up there. I said, just split tree him right up there by himself, you know. So we go in there, and he's on a den tree, and them dogs has got the squirrel,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Well, later on, the judge told me, said, you know, said you made a bad call there, and I wound up getting beat by 25. And if I would have got treed in on that tree, I would have that would have given me 50 points, you know.
Yeah.
And I would have, you know, I would have won the cast. And he said, you made a bad call. And I said, what do you mean I made a bad call? He said, when you split treed that dog, he said, they got a 30-step perimeter. He said, you could have treed your dog in and still been good on that tree, you know. And I said, well, I didn't know. I said, I'm just calling my dog, you know,
Yep.
the way he's doing, you know. But anyway, long story short, I didn't, I, I didn't, I didn't feel that I had that strong a dog,
Yeah.
and I didn't competition hunt that much after that. Uh, and then uh, finally they had a hunt right here local, and I went and won. Well, I went back that evening. They have an AM and a PM hunt. Well, I won the AM hunt and won the PM hunt both. And I said, well, dang gone. I might have something here. I
Yeah.
said, well, I need to try to make him the grand champion. There's already 2 wins. I just need 3 more.
Yep.
And go to two more hunts. So I went to 2 more hunts, and bang bang, I had him grand champion.
Very nice.
Well, and somebody said, "You gonna try to make him a super grand?" I said, "Well, I don't know what you got to do to do that." I didn't know. So I said, "Well, you gotta have 8 grand champion wins to make him a super grand."
Hmm.
So I hit the road again, and I went that year. I hunted him in 11 hunts, and I won 8 out of 11 hunts that I went to.
Okay.
Uh, and he at that time he was getting, I guess, Cool Whip was probably about, basically, my opinion, he was in his prime, and he was probably 6 or 7.
Okay.
Well, he had never been no big hunt,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody said they're having that. Said, you going to that world championship? And I said, where's it at? And they said, up in Odin, Indiana. And I said, I don't know. I said, I hadn't thought nothing about it. So I got to study on it, and I thought, dang down, I need to go up there, and throw my hat in anyway. So
Yeah.
I talked to Terrence, and I said, you know anybody that lives up in there around Odin? He said, yeah. He said, I got a good friend, John Combs. And John is, he's a dog man. He's a Tennessee tree and Brennel
Mm-hmm.
man, I think he'll hunt a five dog. I think he just likes a good dog, period, but I think he's more, more of a Tennessee tree and Brennel man than he is a five dog man. But
Yeah.
anyway, I called John and I said, you got any good spots to hunt up there? And he said, yeah. He said, I got some good spots. So I said, well, I hate to drive all the way up there, and not have a good spot to go hunting, So
Yep.
that's the name of the game, If you're hunting a competition hunt, it don't matter if it's a coon hunt or a squirrel hunt. If you don't get with somebody that knows where game's at, you're just at the mercy,
Definitely.
I asked John. I said, where any squirrels is at? And he said, oh yeah. He said, there's plenty of squirrels up here. We talked a little while there, and he said, yeah, you got a pretty good dog. And I said, well, he does all right. And he said, well, Terrence said he was pretty tough. And I said, he does all right. He said, well, you going to try to come to the hunt? And I said, yeah, I'm coming. Nothing don't happen, I'm coming. And I said, I'm going to win it. He said, do what? I said, I'm coming. And I said, I'm coming to win it. I'm going to win it, John said, all right, come on. So I rolled in up there, and I'd never seen John Combs before,
Mm-hmm.
Well, didn't know. Anyway, I finally got with John there, and we went to pleasure hunting, and then the next day we go out, and I win my cast that morning, and then win that evening, and win the whole thing, and he said, I ain't never had nobody to tell me they was going to win the damn world hunt and come and do it. And I said, well, I said, I sounds like I was bragging, and I said, I guess I was, but I said, I didn't mean to be that. I said, cause I don't never brag on the dog. I usually let everybody else do the talking and then let him show them,
Yep.
And he said, well, you done what you said you was going to do, Anyway, then, I won, he'd won the South Carolina state hunt, and won the Kentucky state hunt. He was a UKC Grand Squirrel champion, a NKC Super Grand. He got beat in. I won the National Current Price World Championship, and it was in 2016.
Okay.
Well, 2017, I go to the UKC World Hunt in Corbin, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Well, got lucky enough and got all the way through and got down to the final cast, and it was me and James Byram with a son off of Cool that I had
Okay.
sold James about 15 months prior to that, I guess, because it seems like Dexter was seems like he was about 17 or 18 months old,
Okay.
And so, they, Alan Gingers from UKC, they done the interview the night before, and he asked me, said, what do you think, Eddie, about tomorrow? And I said, well, Alan, it's a win-win for me. And he said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, if I win, I said, I've got a 2-time world champion. I said, if I get beat, I've got a world champion that has fired a world champion.
Yep.
I said, it's a win-win. I said, and me and James, like I say, I had sold James the Dexter dog when he was, my wife was going to dental school in Memphis. So I would, when they told her, that they would send her to dental school in Memphis, they were going to fly her down there. And I said, you're not flying to Memphis by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you can tell the dentist he can either fly me or pay us to drive down there, I said, but you're not going down there by yourself, So I told her, I said, I'll just drive you down there and I'll take 2 whips. And I said, while you in school, I said, I'll go hunt.
There you go.
So that's what I would do, She was in school, and I'd go up there and hunt on state ground. And James Byron had called me, and this was before. This was probably in 15, I guess. Well, James called me and asked me if he said he was looking for a squirrel dog pup.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I ain't got anything right now. I said, if you want to send a deposit, get your name on the list, I'll get you on the list, Well, me and James got to talking, and I said, would you hunt a dog if you had one? He said, yes, sir. He said, I'd hunt one every day. Well, I said, have you had dogs before? And we got to talking, and he said, yeah. He said, I coon hunted. Well, we got to talking about some coon hunters that I knew and he knew,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, if he knows them people and coon hunt, I said, he's bound to probably give a dog a chance,
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, I've got a little male dog puppy here that I planned on keeping. I said, but if you would give me your word that you'd hunt this dog, I said, I'll sell him to you. And I said, today's your lucky day. I said, I can meet you this weekend. I said, because we're going to Memphis. And I said, I can meet you down around Nashville somewhere.
Yeah.
And so anyway, long story short, I sold him Dexter when he's just a puppy, and
That was your keeper
I went,
too.
yeah. Well, no, I myself. I mean, I guess I'm a decent dog man, but I'm not. I'm in no way, shape, form, or fashion can I start one. I don't care whether it be a hound or a fight. I don't have the patience. And another thing about a fight dog, we don't have the game in this country to start a dog.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's, we just, now if you give me, I was the same way when I coon hunting. You give me one anywhere from eight months old to 18 months old, it's running and treeing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll burn the boot leather on you. But
Yeah.
now as far as taking one from scratch, and I give James all the credit, because when he got that Dexter dog, it wouldn't it wasn't just a little while. He sent me a video of him treat his first squirrel, and he was 5 months old.
Nice.
And but now he's messed. James Byram, in my opinion, is the best on starting a dog. He's the best I've ever seen or know of.
Okay.
I mean, he just, I don't know. He puts in the time, and I mean, he started the Rio dog that I had that I won the 2019 NKC Squirrel Dog of the Year with. James started him. Well, Cool Whip was getting a little age on him, and I called James and I told him, I said, you need to sell me that Cool Whip pup. I said, you down there trying to stud Dexter out. I said, now you have got a dog off Cool Whip. I said, you need to be hunting a dog off of Dexter. And I said, I need to be hunting that dog off Cool Whip,
Yeah.
Well, he said, that dog belongs to my wife, I mean, they had him, Dexter same way. I mean, he's house broke. Rio same way, house broke. Leave him in the house all day long. Never tear a paper. Never tear nothing up,
Mm-hmm.
But James's wife won. I don't know, but anyway, James, in my opinion, is the dog man, and I give him all the credit. And the same with Cool Whip. I didn't mention Mac McLean, but Mac McLean is a dog man too.
Yeah.
Mac, I give him all the credit on training Cool Whip. All I done was polished him and put him out there for the world to see, and showed him to people and let him do what he could do,
Yep.
I didn't train neither one of them, I just hunted them. That's my strong point. If you give me one that'll run in trees, when a coon hunting like a hound,
Yep.
or a squirrel dog, you give me one that'll tree, I'll put him in the woods. I'll expose him, to the woods, and if he'll do it, I'll stay behind him,
Mm-hmm.
But now Mac, like I say, Mac McLean, he trained Cool Whip, and he had another dog there that he sold that was off of Cool Whip, a little female that they called Spoon,
Mm-hmm.
and I never did get to hunt with Spoon, but Keith Peebles told me that he hunted with her in an ATFA hunt down in Georgia. I want to think Keith told me she treed 21 squirrels.
Wow.
But I never did get to hunt with her. Yeah. Keith said she was absolutely tough.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I later on after I'd bought Cool Whip, and I'd heard about the Spoon dog, and then Mac was going to sell her, and I called him, and he said, well, I think I got her sold to a buddy of mine. And so I said, well, you just let me know, and so he'd text me, and told me that the boy was going to take her, and I said, well, let me ask you this. I said, what about Spoon's mother, because I was thinking, if I could get Spoon's mother and breed Cool Whip to her, I'd, you got the recipe, you can make them,
Yeah.
So, and he told me that female had those pups and weaned them, and I think he told me those puppies were 8 weeks old, and that female died.
Oof.
And so that was the end. That was the end of the Spoon,
Mm-hmm.
That was the end of Spoon's mother, So, but anyway, like I say, James and Mac are two of the best starting dogs that I know of.
Yep.
But they really done a good job, and I appreciate James and all he's done. He's promoted Cool Whip probably more than I ever did. After he beat me in the World Hunt, he said, "Man, you need to get on Facebook. You need to get on Facebook. Cause everybody on Facebook's asking about Cool Whip." I said, "I don't know nothing about no Facebook." So anyway, James, he got me on the Facebook. So, but anyway, and and you know, and Jane, you know, and the Dexter dog, you know, he was off of Two Whip and off of a female that David Savage had, which was Sandy, and Sandy and Two Whip were half brother and half sister.
Okay.
Well, David, you know, he had Two Whip's daddy, which was Cody, you know, and David, you know, when David got Cody, he wouldn't. Uh, he told me that he wasn't in the market for a squirrel dog. He just wanted a dog to turn loose on the farm, you know,
Yeah.
kind of to make a farm dog.
Yep.
And that's when he bought, you know, that's when he bought Cody. And he said he come in from work one day and his papa said, "You're going to do something with that dog." And he said, "Well, what's he done?" And he said, "Well, he stays treed all day long." He said, "You're going to have to put him up or something." So he stays treed over in the edge of the woods all day. Well, David, he said, I just started hunting him, you know. And he said, "I didn't know nothing about squirrel hunting, you know." And he said, "I started hunting him." And he said, "Man, just, you just turn him loose and go to him and kill a squirrel."
Yeah.
He said, "Every time you turn him loose, go to him, he'd be treed, go to him, he'd have a squirrel, you know." And, which I never got to hunt with Cody, but, you know, I talked to several people that did, you know, and they said, it's just like David said, you know, when you turn him loose, he'd be gone, bam, next thing you know, he's treed, you go to him, he's got a squirrel,
Yeah.
you know. And he come from a line of dogs out of the Clinch Mountains over there that, you know, was basically, I guess, what you'd call a meat dog.
Mm-hmm.
The old man that had them didn't even, they wouldn't even registered or nothing, you know. He raised dogs and squirrel hunted and coon hunted and everything, and just to feed the family, you know, off of what game he could catch in the wintertime, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Cody come from, you know, from that old man. And they got him, you know, they got the old man down and asked him, said, do you know what that dog's mom and daddy is? And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I got their mom and daddy here still." And he said, "I can tell you what the grandpa and the grandma's name was. I raised them. I had them till they died." You know? He said, "I can tell you the great grandma and the great grandpa." He said, "I raised them until they died, you know." But anyway, they got them registered, you know, and
Cool.
and that's when. But you know, and that's just like Cody. You know, he was a squirrel dog, but never was put in a competition hunt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and was a reproducer too. You know, and you know, and just like I don't know. I guess it just, you know, good dogs reproduce good dogs. Seems like
Mm-hmm.
and ours Cody, and then he reproduced Two Whip, and ours Two Whip he reproduced Dexter, and ours Dexter he's reproduced Pig. Rio is off of Two Whip too, you know, and then ours Ken Kinsley's got the pig dogs off of Dexter, you know, and
Yep.
Mike Perry's got the Deuce dog that's off of Dexter. You know, it's just
Mm-hmm.
seems like just seems like they're getting better and better and better. You know, with getting them in the hands of people that were, you know, like James Byram and Mike Perry, Ken Kinsley, Wendell Pulley. You know, they've hunted these dogs. I mean,
Yep.
they deserve more recognition than anybody. You know, you talk about squirrel hunters now. If you think you're a squirrel hunter, get in the woods behind Wendell Pulley and Mike Purdy. I mean, they go to LBL on the Kentucky side when it opens, and they'll stay till it closes. They drag their camper down there and they live down there.
Yeah.
I mean, they squirrel hunt now. They don't just mess around. They squirrel hunt.
Good.
But
Now you said you talked a little bit about Cody. What was cool was
he was Bill Barger took a female over to David's and Breder, and her name was Tennessee Babe. Barger's Tennessee Babe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she had this had this litter of pups off of Cody. Well, and they were all red, and Cody was even red, and had stand up ears, and Cool Whip was solid. Well, he wasn't plumb solid white, but he had 95% white and had a little color around his face,
Yeah.
and but he was mostly white, and I don't know, Mac McLean, he bought him when he was just a puppy,
Yeah.
and Mac is Mac's a bird dog man too, It
Okay.
seemed like a lot of people or a lot of dog men that are bird dog trainers, I guess. Which I've never never owned a bird dog, don't know the first thing about a bird dog, but seems like bird dog men are I ain't gonna say all of them, but the majority of your bird dog people are good dog men.
Yeah.
They know how to train a dog.
Yep.
Heinz Bailiff the same way. He had a something kind of bird dog that won I guess the national champion or whatever.
Yep.
I don't.
He told me he was
But
big into bird
anyway,
dogs.
yeah. But like I say, there's Terrence and Mac both, are bird hunters, and then there's another guy here that, he's a bird hunter, Arnold Hall, and he's a good dog man,
Mm-hmm.
Seem like, I don't know, I guess, I don't know if the bird dogs are any different, but seems like, I guess a bird dog, what I'm trying to say, it seems like a bird dog is more trainable than a hound or a feist dog,
Yep.
Seems like, which I don't know. I blame it. I blame like the feist dogs. It's hard. I don't know how many people call me and they say, "Well, I've got a little feist dog and he'll run a squirrel to a tree, but he won't bark." What do I do to get him to bark? And I said, "Well, that's a big hole in a lot of feist dogs.
Yep.
Uh, trying to get them to bark, to tree,
Mm-hmm.
and but I blame it, and I don't know, it's just my opinion, but I blame the feist dogs not treeing on years of don't really want to say bad breeding, but just say, for instance, breeding dogs that are not up to really good standards, in my opinion, like really
Mm-hmm.
breeding a lot of males and female dogs that probably wouldn't even tree squirrels,
Yeah.
and, because they kept the line, that when I first got into squirrel dogs, I had bred a sister, uh, to Cool Whip, to an atomic dog, which was another line of feist dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody told me, said, "Man, you won't never be able to sell them dogs and them outdogs like that." Well, they burnt my phone up wanting to buy them, you know. And I said, "Well, I think, and it's just like I say, it's just my opinion. I think to have a good future, you got to start with a good past.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you need to breed a good male to a good female. That doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't matter what line it is. To get your percentage of reproducing better dogs, I think you need to breed good males to good females.
Yeah.
But,
Definitely.
but anyway, yeah.
Now, what all did you win with Cool Whip? You said a little bit, but
he won the National Cur and Feist World Championship in 2016. He won the Kentucky State Hunt, won the South Carolina State Hunt, placed third in the Tennessee State Hunt, and I placed either second or third again in the Kentucky State Hunt.
mm-hmm.
He was second place in 2017 in the UKC World. He was second place again in 2018 in the UKC World. and so he was a NKC Super Grand Squirrel Champion and a UKC Grand Squirrel Champion.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I say now, most of this winning came, you know, like I say, when he was between 6 and 9 year old.
Yeah.
You know, I just, you know, like I say, I thought everybody had a good squirrel dog, you know,
So
especially when you went to a hunt, you know.
imagine if you would have started pushing him in hunts when he was 3, 4. You know, you did a
Yeah,
lot of winning when he
yeah,
was older. If you would have actually put him in some hunts when he was a little bit younger, I'm sure he'd even have
yeah,
a more impressive resume. But that's
yeah,
a pretty
probably,
impressive
you know,
lineup there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, and like I say, when I got him from Mac, he was about 18 or 19 months old, and I mean, I just hunted him, and then I went through a divorce between probably, I guess he was between 3 and 4 year old.
Okay.
That really, when you think, I guess really when you say he was in his prime, I went through a divorce and I moved. I moved. Let's see, I moved 3 times in less than a year. so so you know how much hunting I've done.
Yep.
But you know, yeah, you know, if he would have been exposed to, you know, to some bigger hunts when he was 3, 4, 5, and 6 year, 7 year old, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's no, you know, I mean, and you know, the good thing about Cool Whip was when he treed, I, you know, most time you'd see a squirrel or you'd see a hole.
Yeah.
You know, when he treed, I mean, he was, when, you know, especially, I'm going to say 3, 4, 5 year old, he was, I mean, just deadly accurate. When he treed, you know, he'd have a squirrel and I'd kill it to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no telling how many squirrels me and Terrence has killed to him. You know, good friend of mine, Terry Lucas from over in South Carolina. I went over there, you know, and he told me, he called me, you know, and I didn't know Terry from nobody, you know. And he called me up out of the blue and he said, "Won't you come down here and go hunting with me?" And he said, "You got plenty of squirrels?" He said, "Man, I got this tract of ground over here. Used to be the governor's mansion."
Jeez.
And he sent me a video, and I still got the video on my phone. He said, "This is the old governor's," and he told me the governor's name, and I can't remember it. But anyway, he said there's 700 acres here. He said and nobody's ever turned a dog loose in it. And he said the guy that overlooks it is going to let you come in here and hunt.
Nice.
I said, "Yeah, I'll go." So well, I went down there and we turned the Cool Whip loose, you know, and he didn't go. Just didn't seem like 30 yards. Bam, tree. Terry Lucas said, "Is that him?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "He's tree." And he said, "Man, he sounds like a walker dog." He said, "He don't sound like no fight dog." You know, he had a good, you know, had a really, really good mouth on him and was a good tree dog. You know, wasn't a hound type tree dog, but a good tree dog, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to him, killed a squirrel. So we went on. I don't know how many we killed that evening. You know, I'd worked, you know, half a day, and then I took off and got down there right about dusk dark. And I told him, I said, well, I'm ready to go down and go hunting, you know. And he said, "You ain't gonna let that dog rest?" And I said, "He's been resting in that box." I said, "He's ready." I said, you'll see, you know. So, but you know, and another thing too, you know, you could just hunt all day long, and you know, it could be getting up next to dusk dark, you know, and you'd holler for him, and Cool Whip just act like you broke his heart, you know, just to have to quit, you know, 'cause it was getting dark, just to come to you, you know,
Yeah.
day in and day out. I mean, you could hunt him every day, you stick him in front of the truck and road hunt him 6, 8, 10 miles a day. Like if it was raining early in the morning, you might be raining, you road hunting, kill a mess of squirrels, come back that evening and it quit raining and walk hunt, and he'd just hunt, just tree after tree after tree. You'd be treed, you shoot squirrel out, you get, I always carry a little old Food City bag, and I'll put my dead squirrel in that bag and then put it in my vest. That way my vest ain't full of blood. Every
Yep.
time you get that squirrel away from you, get your Food City bag out of your vest, get that dead squirrel in there. Most time he'd be treated again, have another squirrel.
Nice.
But just super nice, deadly accurate, never any trouble out of him. Mine like a kid, just easy going. Pups, the last litter I raised here, which we moved and bought a new place over here in the country, and this last litter that I raised, well, they'll be a year old in November. When they got big enough, I just let them run loose. They never was pinned till they got about 6 months old, and I finally had to pin the little female here because she got to getting in the road, and I was afraid she's going to get run over.
Mm-hmm.
But every day when I come in from work, they'd be running loose, and they'd be here at the house. Come nighttime, they'd go back to the kennel. Instead of getting in the pen with their mother, they'd get in the pen and get in the doghouse with Cool Whip. I've got, I don't know how many pictures of puppies sleeping in Cool Whip's bowl, and him eating with them, and them sleeping with him, and them piled up in the doghouse, and him sleeping out on the kennel floor, and all the pups in the house, and he can't even get in the house for the pups,
Yeah.
Just
a good
all
natured
around.
dog.
I mean, just super nice, But I've always told everybody, just a once in a lifetime dog. I mean, just, and not only a good squirrel dog, a good reproducer, that has reproduced a world champion, got a got a son that's a world champion and a grandson that's a world champion, and then
Yeah.
no telling how many more is going to be behind it,
Mm-hmm.
Cause those guys, they'll hunt them, and that's what makes Cool Whip shine. Those other guys, hunting pups and grand pups off of him, that's what makes him, that's what makes him look good,
Yeah, definitely. Part of like a good, effective breeding program, like you've said, is having good people that are going to continue to hunt your dog. Hunt the next generation of dogs off of yours.
Right, and and that's what it takes. But and then like here, there's people here that'll hunt, but I mean, we don't have the game here. Like I went to the Mississippi Delta, me and Tyson did, hunting with Steve McKee in the Mississippi Delta, and we hunted 5 trips to the woods, and we killed, I think we killed 146 squirrels 5 trips to the woods.
Ooh,
we hunted Monday morning, Monday evening, Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening, and Wednesday morning, and we killed our limit. One morning, the first morning we went, you just allowed 8. The first morning we went, there was 5 of us went to the woods, and we killed 40 in just a little while, about 2 hours or 2.5 hours. We go back to camp and we clean them, eat a sandwich, and we go back to the woods, and there was 4 of us, and we was just allowed 32. We killed 32, back to the camp, and had them cleaned and eat supper. Went to bed, got up the next morning, killed our limit. Went that evening, killed our limit. Went Wednesday, and killed. There was 4 of us went Wednesday, and we killed 32. And that's the difference. But now here in these mountains, people talk about killing the limit. You might. you might get lucky and kill your limit, here. But if you hunt 5 days a week here, if you kill 25 squirrels, 5 trips to the woods here, you've got a pretty good dog.
Yeah.
If you can average 5 squirrels every time you go to the woods here, that's half of your limit here. Tennessee's got 10 squirrel limit.
Mm-hmm.
If you can kill 5 a day, 5 days in a row and kill 25 squirrels, you've got a pretty good dog.
Nice. So it sounds like you definitely have a good one then.
Yeah, he's been a good one. Like I say, he's getting age on him, but I've got semen collected on him, But
smart.
I'll maybe we've got my wife and myself. She's got 3 boys, and I've got a stepdaughter. And between us, we've got 7 grandkids. So maybe one of these grandkids will be hunting a Cool Whip pup.
There you go.
Maybe 15 years down the road, when Cool Whip's dead and gone,
Yep.
maybe one of these grandsons will be hunting a Cool Whip pup,
Mm-hmm.
You can't never tell this the way this world is today, though. And it seems like there's more anti-hunters than there are hunters anymore. And the younger generation, they don't care anything about hunting. I hate to say that, but they really don't.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather have that cell phone or TikTok or Facebook or something. They could care less about killing a squirrel or walking behind a dog. Just a different era, I guess, than what we were raised in.
Yep, definitely. So, what do you got now that you're hunting?
I've got a young female off of Cool Whip and off of a personal female of mine that I call Brandy, and she's a full barger bred female.
Okay.
I hope she's going to make a dog. She's built like I want one and got a good mouth, and like I say, she ran loose her whole life, and she's got to go into the road here, and I just have to put her up. But I'd give anything if I lived somewhere where we had like around that Mississippi Delta right now.
Yeah.
Where a man could really put her, really expose her to game. So yeah, I took the Rio dog after I hadn't had him long when I bought him from James, and I took him out there to the Delta, and he split treed a bunch, and I killed a bunch of squirrels to him, and that finished, Rio,
mm-hmm.
and that maybe if barring any bad luck, I'm gonna try to get this little female out there to the Mississippi Delta this fall, and try to get some squirrels on,
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing. You got to get where game's at. It's hard to.
Yep.
It's hard to do anything in this country. We just don't have squirrels.
Nope, I can understand
That's the only thing I've got. As far as something to hunt for myself. It's hard. People come here. I had a male and a female off of this last litter, and I planned on. My plan was to let those 2 run loose here until I absolutely had to put them up, and then try to train them. And whichever one started first, that was the one I was going to try to promote, and
mm-hmm.
try to push. And there was a guy came here, and he threw the fit over the male pup, and I said I don't want to sell him, and he just kept making offers, and I sold him to him. And my wife said, I come in the house to get his papers. I said I sold. When I turned these pups loose, I called them Bonnie and Clyde.
Okay.
They stayed over to neighbors, and they drugged the neighbors' shoes over here. They chewed them up. I mean, they were true outlaws. Bonnie and Clyde, that suited them too,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I come in the house to get the papers, and I said, told my wife, I said, I sold Clyde, and she said, well, I want to talk to whoever bought that dog. And I said, all right. I said, he's out here. So I said, when he gets ready to leave with him, I said, I'll pick on the window and you can come out here and talk to him. I picked on the window. He come out, and she said, now when you leave here with that dog, I don't want you doing this. I don't want you doing that with him, And he said, no, ma'am. He said, I've got two boys. I believe he told me a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and he said this is gonna be their dog.
Mm-hmm.
Well, later on that night, he sends me a picture, and there's old Clyde. He's in the house, and I told my wife, I said, I believe Bonnie was the one that got the bad end of the deal on this deal. I said, old Clyde's laying in the house, and Bonnie's laying down there in the kennel with two whips.
Yeah.
But he's already got him started, but now he has really, really, really messed with him, and I hope he makes him. I hope he makes him a world champion, and maybe mine will too. But
Cool.
It's just like you say, you got to get them in the hands of somebody that'll really expose them to game and put them in the woods. That's the main thing, you know.
Definitely.
But
Well, we've been at this for a while, so I mean, it's always like a good story.
man, I got so many. I don't know where to start. You know, I don't know. Me and Terrence Bailiff, me and Tim Atkins. I mean, we've walked so many miles. I guess I don't know. I guess probably, you know, something that kind of just I don't know really stands out. I don't know if I ain't gonna say it really stands out, but something just kind of, you know, when you said a story, you know, and it's not really a story, it's just kind of a hunting trip. You know, the last trip into the woods in the Mississippi Delta, me and Parent and Steve and I can't even think of Steve's buddy's name now. He's gonna kill me. But anyway, we turned the dogs loose and we were just hunting. I mean, beautiful. I mean, if you've never hunted the Mississippi Delta, I'm telling you, it's squirrel, and it looks like it'd be a coon hunter's dream too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, anyway, we're just hunting, you know, and we're just killing squirrels. And Steve said we might ought to start working our way back toward the side by side. What we'd done, he had a side by side, and we hauled that thing over on a trailer, and they'd have gates up, you know, but you could take a side by side, you know, through there, but they wouldn't let you take a vehicle. You could take a side by side. So we drove way back in there on a side by side, and we just took off, you know, and we was just having a big time, you know. And we're way back in there, you know. I knew we was a pretty good ways in there, but I never dreamed we. And Steve said we might all start working our way back to the truck. And I said, how far are we from the truck? He said, I don't know. Let me look on my Garmin. Well, he pulls his Garmin out. He looked. He said, we're 6 miles from the truck right now. I said, yeah, we might ought to start heading to the truck. I said, we got to drive all the way home. So we started easing back to the truck, and we stopped about half. I ain't gonna say halfway. We stopped a little ways, and Steve said, "Let's dump these squirrels out and divide them." You know, so we dumped the squirrels out. And he said, "We need to count them and see how many we got too." You know, so we dumped the squirrels out, and it seemed like we had 30. We just allowed 32. He said we can kill 2 more squirrels. Well, we'd left some already, you know, and let some get away, you know. But anyway, we wind up killing our 2 more squirrels, and we come in and clean them, and but that's not really a story, but it kind of just, you know, good people and good dogs, you know, and good fellowship, you know, and we 6 miles, you know, for the next thing you know, we 6 miles from the side by side, you know.
Yeah.
But kind of another little story, me and Tim Atkins, we were squirrel hunting, and we were road hunting the dogs over here in the big mountains. And it's coming up to a curve where the dogs went around the curve, you know. And I was hunting this brandy female here of mine, and Tim Atkins was hunting a female that he had by the name of Dixie. Well, they went around the curve, you know, and me and Tim, we was just talking, you know, and wouldn't pay no attention, you know. I told him, I said, you might ought to catch up with them dogs. I said, they'll be off down in there and be treed before we know it. And I said, we need to try to get some squirrels killed out, you know. So he's on around the curve. By the time he went around the curve, I looked, and I went a black bear across the road. come from the right hand side of the road and crossed, and looked like it weighed probably 100 pounds. And that dude was gone, and them two dogs took off after it. And I mean, that bear smoked them. And I mean, two fast dogs can run pretty fast, but now that bear smoked them.
Yeah.
Well, them dogs turned around and they come back and they hit the road. And when about the time they hit the road, another bear popped up right where that one came out. And we're probably 30 yards behind the bear and the dog. Well, that bear, I don't know who it scared the most, them two dogs or that bear. But anyway, that bear took off and didn't, just as quick as he got out of the road, run up a little old poplar. And I run over there and I told Tim, I said, you need to fix your dog because he just bought her and paid a pretty good price for her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you don't need, I said, if that bear hits her one time, I said, she'll be dead, you know. So they've got that bear treed, you know. And there I am out there, me and Tim both. Neither one of us got a gun, not a stick or nothing. And I run the bear. The bear comes down, and I run it back up the tree. And it don't go up the same tree that it was in. It come down, and then I run it up another tree, so it climbs that tree. Well, I get Tim's dog caught, and he gets her on the lead, and I've let my little old dog, she's treeing on it, you know. Well, the little old boar bear probably weigh about 180 pounds, something like that maybe. Well, he decides that he's stayed treed long enough, you know, I guess. Mm-hmm. He come out of that tree, and when he hit the ground, he was gone. And that little old feist mine took off after it. And I thought, well, we'll be the rest of the day trying to get her. But she run it probably, I don't know, probably 200 yards. And I guess the bear just, right up the side of the mountain, the bear got gone, you know, and she couldn't keep up. So just a minute, she was back, you know. But I told Tim, I said, boy, that was kind of stupid. I said, me and you both out there, neither one of us with a gun or nothing, you know, and that bear could have killed either one of them two dogs just lickety split, you know, and probably mauled me and you both that wanted to, you know. But,
bear hunting with feist, huh?
Yeah, bear hunting with feist. That's what I told you. I've got videos of it on my phone, you know. I tell them boys about treeing that bear. And kind of a funny thing, you know, I was trying to just take pictures, but I wind up making a video. Somehow or another, I guess just meant to be, somehow or another, I got my phone on video and I'm running, holding my phone, and I'm running it, trying to get it to go up a tree, you know, and it finally goes up a tree. Well, thought I was taking pictures, but I'm making a video. And finally I figure out that I'm making a video, you know, and I videoed a little while and then I quit videoing, and then I take several pictures of it, you know, in the tree. But I tell these bear hunters here, you know, about treeing a bear with a feist, and they say, why you can't tree no bear with no feist? I just pull the video on them.
There you go.
But I just wouldn't nothing that we meant to do just happen, you know. Yep. One of them deals, it just seems like you'll always run into trouble or something will happen, you know, we went to Michigan one time, you know, if you've ever hunted in Michigan, you know, they got them huge cornfields. We turned the dogs loose and they took off and they hadn't been gone just 2 minutes. And you could hear them making, you know, they'd caught something on the ground. Mm-hmm. And that old boy was hunting, Gary Failer. He said, they caught a coon on the ground. And I took off running. I run up there. By the time I get probably 30 yards of them, I can smell a skunk. And they'd caught a skunk on the ground, and they wasn't a piece of that skunk big enough to cover a cigarette pack. They had shredded that thing. And we smelled skunk the whole week. We was up by them. Seemed like you'd kind of die down, and then the dew would fall at night, and you'd be on them collars. We smelled skunk for a week. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's
Anyway,
funny.
that's the life of a houndman, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie, it's
But
been great talking to you. I appreciate you
yes,
coming on
sir.
here.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep 'em talking in the timber.